Hi everyone in my Bio 168 class. You are not seeing my face in this video. I don't always, you probably don't even care, but I feel like I have to say, um, because some of my videos I'll have, I have my image and some I won't. I don't feel good and I am recording this not at my best. So I had my vaccine yesterday, and I guess that has something to do with it. I'm not sure, but I don't feel terrible, so don't be afraid of the vaccine. I just don't feel my best. So I still I just have this desire to. I feel like you guys are almost panicking because of the workload and the amount of material that you're having to learn. And as an instructor teaching this class face to face, just so you can, I feel like you need to understand how it would be if it was face to face. Okay, if I taught this class to you face to face, there would be 3 hours twice a week, practically. It's almost 3 hours 2 times a week. So you would come to class, and it would take me that time if I were just to read the lecture slides. I mean, literally. I couldn't do any teaching, but if I just sat there and read you the slides, maybe made a few comments of the lecture slides, that would take me the whole time, class time for the week. There is no way that I can teach you all this material, but I can do a little more than what I have been doing, and that's what I plan to do. Um, I wasn't really sure what to do because you have resources, and I don't know which resources are working for you and which ones are not. And so I think I have an idea now. I hope what I have decided to do is going to work and help you. Um, and I will always take suggestions, but what I'm going to do right now is just focus on the practical exams. Okay, obviously the practical exams are mostly coming from the PAL, the Practice Anatomy Labs. And I know I have sent a video about this before, but I cannot tell you enough. Now that you've taken the first practical exam, um, I'm going to go to the study area, and I am not going to go over any material on Lab Practical 1. There are still some students who haven't taken it because the computer systems were not working very well that day, um, both Moodle and Pearson. Uh, what a day that was. um, but anyway, so we go down and we go to Practice Anatomy Lab. Now, I strongly encourage you, if you have, because you have to type these words in, and to a certain extent, and I really say this very hesitating, because I don't want a whole bunch of students emailing me and saying, I misspelled this word or I misspelled this word. But to a certain extent, I understand not spelling a word 100% accurately. Um, but the way the thing is graded, I would have to go grade every one of these by hand, um, to make sure that, it wasn't, you didn't just miss it because of a spelling error. Um, and for me, I think I have other things I can do better with my time that would be more helpful to you. So I urge you to use the flashcards if spelling is a problem. And if you ever truly believe that you missed some on your practice exam because of spelling and it was just a very minor spelling error, you are welcome to email me and I will make a judgment call. I will look at those numbers that you want me to look at and I will make a judgment call, but please don't abuse that. Um, yeah, I have just so much time in a day, and I don't want it all to be spent going back and seeing. It's just too much. It's a lot to do. Okay, so just make sure, um, if you email me, don't abuse that. Try your very best to spell those words correctly the first time. Know going into it that spelling counts. Okay, now I'm done with that. So practice anatomy lab, when we go into it, um, you are probably the most difficult things you're going to have on practical exam 2. I'm going to do some lecturing on the skeleton and on the muscular system, um, but it's going to be, you know, the the skeleton. We're going to start with the skeleton. So there's, of course, going to be human cadaver pictures on the, now that you've taken the practical exam, you know what it consists of is human cadaver PAL images and anatomical models. Well, the last one had some histology, but you won't ever have any from the histology again. You will never have any from the cat or the fetal pig. This is human anatomy. So your from now on, all your images are going to be in human cadaver or anatomical models. And you're going to have to learn the axial skeleton, so let's start with that. You have got to spend a lot of time with this material, with these images. You have to learn them. What I thought about was, um, I, I had an anatomy instructor one time that did this, and it's probably the best way that I ever found to learn the actual structures of the human body. Um, the instructor wasn't necessarily an artist by any means, and that was good because I wasn't either. And I didn't feel like the drawings that I had to do were that difficult. But the instructor would draw the images and label them and have us copy the drawings while she was doing it, and label them and make little notes. And it was just like we were creating the like, say if it was this image right here, we create the image and we would color the frontal bone a certain color and then label it over here on the side, with that color. And then we'd come over here and we'd color the maxilla, color the mandible a different color. It really worked for me. And I thought about making videos like that for you. But the problem is you already have videos like that in your homework assignments, and you have these images which are going to, these are the ones that are used in the practical exam. So I really think it's going to be better for you if I teach you the lecture material, and you do this more on your own. But remember, spend your time on these images and take lab practicals yourself. This is a study area. These are the images that are used in the lab practicals. So identify the highlighted opening, okay? That opening right there, you would put in, I think about it, infraorbital, infraorbital foramen. So, and look, I'm not afraid to get it wrong. It's been a long time for me, but let's see. I know it's a hole, so it's a foramen, but we'll just see if I got it right. How do you? Okay, then you go on to the next one. Okay, well, I'm pretty sure it's right. I can't get to the answer, I don't think, until I get to the end, and I don't think you want me to do this whole thing. But give yourself lab practicals. This is what is happening to you whenever you're taking the lab. You're being told to identify these structures. I know this one right here is the lacrimal bone. Um, you know, these, if you will do this lab practical, you can do it as many times as you want to. There are 20 questions each time. Now, here's the problem, and I do understand this. I completely understand this. Yes, okay. No, I want to exit. Okay, so the axial skeleton has the skull, and it has the vertebral column, and it has the thoracic cage, and then the appendicular skeleton has 4 sections. So I understand it is a lot. I'm telling you, if you want to do well on those practicals, you still have to put the time in to these images and sometimes to the anatomical models. The lab practical questions are coming directly from here, either the human cadaver or the anatomical models questions. And they come from the study area, PAL 3.1. You have got to put some time in to these images. That's all there is to it, and it really is just that straightforward. You have to put however much time it takes for you. Some people memorize faster than others. And you have to do whatever works for you to learn. I mean, I can't tell you how you learn best, but by now you should know. Um, if you need to write some stuff down, if you need to draw some things, if you need to come up with some little sentences, you have to do what works for you. Um, but you have to memorize these structures, and that's it. That's Almost all of the questions on the practical exams are going to come from the human cadaver and the anatomical models. There are some that come from the, what's it called? They're called art labeling activities, and I really think that you can get to those from the study area too, but I'll be honest, I don't know, so I'm going to look up. Okay, home. That's the best way. Um, I want to get out of this. Duh. Okay, I'm sorry. You guys, technology, I'm from the old school. I'm still learning. But launch the study area. So we're going into the study area again. And I think you can find, yeah, right here. Art labeling activities. Wow. And you know that these are on the I know I'll go ahead and say this. I know some of you haven't taken lab practical one or practical exam one yet, but there are definitely some of the orientation, like directional terms you have to label on the human body, like, superior and inferior and proximal and distal. So there are very few extra questions on the exam that are going to come from these art labeling activities. So let's just look at the anterior view of the skull, because that's going to be what we just looked at on the cadaver. Okay, so what you get to do in this art labeling activity is label all these bones. And that helps you learn. Do this until you get it right every time. I mean, I just cannot stress it anymore. The more time you spend with these figures, um, the better you're going to do. Okay, so it's really just spending time and learning these figures. So I'm going to this thing lasts 15 minutes, so I'm just going to see um, how this works. You click and drag. Oh, I bet I have to click on this first. So click on that, and then it's not working. What am I doing wrong? Okay, I guess it's not letting you click and drag, or I'm just, okay, hold on. The parietal bone. Let's try this. Right, yeah, I just didn't expect that. I thought the hand would come up. There we go. I know some of you can feel my pain. I mean, not everybody, but all right, the temporal bone is right here. And then the squamous part of the frontal bone, well, that I think is probably here. And then just labeling the frontal bone is there. So sometimes it's a little tricky. Um, the vomer I know is right here. It's that blue one. The ethmoid bone. So like what I'm doing is saving the frontal bone because there's several to label on the frontal bone. The ethmoid bone, I know that one is